Everyone's got that one thing when they start collecting they must have, only to find it may not be as easy as you thought because of availability or price. The Grimsly Manor was my unicorn.
What's a unicorn?
Fabled creature. You know, the horse with the horn, impossible to capture.
But after a couple of years of searching, I finally found my unicorn, and it turns out it wasn't a unicorn at all. As far as haunted houses go, this was actually a goat. So for the first time ever on the channel, we have a Department 56 building, and while many of you Lamaxians may be aware of Department 56, some of you, especially those outside of North America, may not be. Department 56 was founded in 1976. Originally it was part of Bachman's, a retail florist based in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Bachman's employed a numbering system to identify each of its departments. The number assigned to the wholesale gift and imports division was 56. The name Department 56 was kept when the division was sold in 1992 and was most recently acquired by UNESCO in 2009. Department 56's first line of villages were a Christmas range called Original Snow Village in 1976, and it did not venture into Halloween villages until 1998 when they launched Snow Village Halloween with a haunted mansion. If you'd like to learn more about the history of Department 56, let me know in the comments, and if there's enough interest I'll make a full video for you. So back to the Grimsly Manor, and a few points I need to make out about this particular piece you are seeing. I bought this piece from someone in the UK who did list it as damaged. The thing I was worried about when looking for one of these was the risk of damage whilst it was being shipped, and this is exactly what happened to this person who imported it from the States, but they did a pretty good job repairing it, and I'm sure with a few extra touches I can get this looking as good as new. I just thought it was worth mentioning as this piece has been repaired and is not a mint condition example. If you haven't guessed already, this piece, like all Department 56 pieces, is a porcelain product and is fairly heavy. It weighs 5.4 pounds or 2.5 kilos. The dimensions of this piece are 8¼ inches wide, by 8¼ deep, by 10.5 inches high. As for the features, the Grimsly Manor does not have an inside scene. It did come with a power adapter. There's no mechanical animation. There is, however, a superb ambient soundtrack. There's no exterior lighting or smoke features, but it does have an incredible internal lighting feature. So the Grimsly Manor was originally released in 1999 and enjoyed a 10-year run before being retired in 2009. In fact, the only reason the preeminent haunted house was retired at all was that Department 56 could no longer source the computer-generated sound chip that went inside the electronics box. The box is quite crude by design, but let's not forget this is 25 years old now. But there's something quite charming about it, its innocence really. Just think about it, here's all the electronics, lights, sound, power, all completely removable from your fairly expensive ornament, so if anything does go wrong, you can easily replace the parts without damaging anything. There's no ungluing or anything like that, it's just there. And if you need replacement parts, no problem, you can buy them from Department 56's website. In fact, I've got a set of these replacement bulbs just in case I need to replace them whilst the village is on display, as I'm told they get rather hot. And I think it's only right to recognise and give credit to Department 56 for their user-friendly approach and continued product support after retiring this for 15 years. You can still get the parts for it. If there was any criticism of it though, I would say it kind of sits a little bit awkwardly with inside the building, a bit like a flashy tea light really. On the outside though, Grimsly Manor is a Gothic Victorian era house with its quintessential haunting features, possibly imprinted onto us through the old black and white horror films of yesteryear, or just the eerie nature of the weathering and the bats hanging from the eaves. It is the same vibe that the Bates house does on the hill in Hitchcock's Psycho. It's just unsettling. And it doesn't do it with ghosts and skeletons or vampires and werewolves. It does it with its architecture, like we're preconditioned to know that this house is bad news, the same way as you did when you saw the Krill house in Stranger Things. In fact, the original version had no Halloween features at all, but at some point they added a jack-o'-lantern to the front porch, and if you know when, please let me know. Also on the porch is a rocking chair, which makes up a large part of its ambient soundtrack, which is fairly creepy when hearing it on its own, but apparently it didn't always sound creepy. According to the creative team at Department 56, they were behind in receiving the sound effects because the factory could not get the sounds that they were looking for, but instead they created sample effects for the overly anxious team. But it's fair to say that these were not as expected, because the whole team at one point were crying with laughter when they heard them. But with all Halloween Village pieces, regardless of theme or brand, it's not about how they sound or look with the lights on particularly, it's how they look when things go bump in the night, and that's where Grimsly Manor made my jaw drop. As the lights fade and the lightning strikes along with the blood-curdling scream, the effect is just incredible and was probably 90% of the reason why I fell in love with it and added it to my must-have list. And if you'd like even more Grimsly for your village, Department 56 also released accompanying accessories in the way of the Grimsly Garage and the Grimsly Family. Department 56 do quite a few Meet the Artists in the States, and sadly for me, I'll probably never get to attend one. But if you do, and you get to meet Scott Enter, the senior artist who added Grimsly Manor to all our lives, please thank him for me, and ask him what those sample effects sounded like.